Welcome to the Pageantry PodCast.
And today's very special Pageantry Podcast guest, calling in from Arkansas, Miss America's Teen 2025, Peyton Bolling. Peyton, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so ready to be here. I'm so excited.
I've been watching all your videos online, a little bit what you've been doing since you've captured the title. So if you're ready to get into the Q&A, I'm all set.
Oh, I'm so ready.
What was going through your mind, standing center stage, waiting for the announcement of Miss America's Teen 2025?
Yes, so my first runner-up, her name was Allie Mims, and she was Miss Alabama's teen, and she was my best friend the entire week. We became best friends at orientation, and it's funny because she told me, she was like, I had a calling from God that we're going to be last two, and I was like, okay, slow your roll. Are you sure about that? And my judge from Miss Arkansas, she was Miss Alabama, and she told Miss Alabama's teen that we were going to be the top two. So we were calling it. And then when it happened in that moment and we were the top two, I was freaking out because I knew the organization was going to get a really good girl, whether it was me or whether it was Allie. And I honestly forgot it was a competition. And then when they said Arkansas, I snapped back into it and I was like, oh, wait, this is a competition and you just won it. So there were so many emotions going through my mind, like, holy crap, this is such a win for me. This is such a win for Arkansas. But also, my best friend just got called as first runner up. So I was still trying to deal with all the emotions that goes on in that moment.
Now, history was made as you're the first young woman from Arkansas to capture the title.
Yes.
Is it still surreal or has it begun to become a reality?
So a year ago, I have never competed in a pageant. I was the United States Senate page. I spent 5 months in DC learning from some of our most powerful leaders all by myself. My family was still in Arkansas. I barely knew how to do my makeup. I lived in what I would call homeless chic, which was just really baggy clothes and my hair in a messy bun all the time. And to tell me a year later you would be Miss America's teen, right now I still cannot wrap my head around the year of growth. I still sometimes slip up and say I'm Miss Arkansas's teen because Arkansas and America are so close together. But it is definitely starting to sink in. Me and Abby, Miss America, have really gotten to bond together. I have been able to know the national team now. So it definitely is starting to sink in, but I don't think I'll ever fully get over the length and growth of what Miss America is.
Excellent. You're only a high school senior. How's the reaction been back home since returning?
Yeah, so I go to the largest public school in Arkansas with 4,000 kids. So no one really it's impossible for the entire school to know your name. But when I went back to school, people definitely knew who I was. And it's funny because on all the reels and the videos we've been sending out, people were like, I heard this girl goes to Bentonville. Is that true? Like, there's so many people that were trying to figure out if I actually went to their school because our school is so big. How would you ever get to meet me? But people definitely took an interest. And again, I showed up with no makeup, my hair in a messy bun back to school, and a Miss Arkansas teen, or see, I did it again, a Miss America's teen sweatshirt. And people were definitely giving me very intrigued looks, really wanting to know what it was like.
Perfect. The Miss America organization and Miss America's Teen organization are known for their scholarship opportunities. How much have you earned through competing this year?
Yes, so the Miss America organization is the largest scholarship provider to women in the world. And I have been fortunate enough to earn $70,000 from this organization. I broke a record in scholarship amount at Miss Arkansas. I earned $20,000, which is the biggest amount of money that a teen has earned in the organization. And then I went to Miss America. I never got my name called for prelims, and I still won $50,000 from this organization. So I'm so excited to use it towards my education and eventually go to law school with it.
So that is $70,000 that you
Yes.
have earned this year through the organizations.
Yes, in the last 9 months, I've earned $70,000.
I wish I could compete, but I can't. If I could go back to school, that is absolutely amazing.
Yes, the Miss America opportunity is just so gracious and generous with the amount of money that they're providing to young women all over the country.
Now, talent is an integral part of the competition.
Yes.
How long have you been involved in dance?
Yeah, so I've been involved with dance my entire life. And so when people ask me, how long have you been doing pageants? I say two answers. One, this is only my first round, my first cycle, but also I feel like I've been preparing for this my entire life because I was a dancer. I've grown up in the dance studio doing ballet, jazz, tap, and i- in those ways, I feel like I've been preparing my entire life. Now, walking in heels, that was a completely different story. I definitely had to learn how to do that when I started pageants.
Tell us more about your platform, Civics in Motion.
Yes. So my platform, Civics in Motion, is all about getting kids involved in their community and answering the questions, how do we want to show up for each other? So this started when I was United States Senate page. I fell in love with government and the democratic process, and I really wanted to get involved with it more. And when I came back, I realized people didn't even know who our senators were, let alone our local mayors, JPs, county clerks. And so that's how it all started. I started this Instagram webisode called Glimpses in Government, where I interviewed local mayors, county clerks, JPs, and it has grown from there as I've gotten to be a state title holder and to be a national title holder. I've been able to interview United States senators, United States House of Representatives, local mayors, the whole range. And that is what Civics in Motion is, getting kids to figure out what their passions are, how they can advocate for it, and how they can find their role in their community.
And people can find out about this where?
Yeah, so I have the Miss America's Teen Instagram, but there's also my Instagram called at Civics in Motion, which is all of my civics and government work kind of in its own separate folder.
You mentioned it before, and I'd like to come back to it. You were actually a Senate page.
Yes.
What did you learn there? But more importantly, how did you become involved within the government?
Yes, so I lived in Washington, D.C. for the first 10 years of my life, and I absolutely loved it. And that's how I kind of knew already about the PAGE program. So when it was time my sophomore year to apply, I was like, I'm going to email 25 senators. And that's exactly what I did. I emailed as many senators as I can saying, please just take me to Washington for my junior year. Please, please, please. And eventually, Senator Martin Heinrich from New Mexico gave me a chance, put me on the plane, got me to be a United States Senate page. And it was just a life-changing experience because it really felt like boarding school. You weren't with your parents. You were living in this old funeral home with 15 girls, 15 guys. You would go to school in the basement. You would start school at 5 a.m. And here's the funny part. Here's one thing I learned. So they take your phones away. And so me and my mom really were getting in fights at the beginning because I wouldn't call her. And I eventually had to admit that I didn't know how to use a landline phone. And that's why I wasn't calling her back. So that was definitely something that I learned how to do. I had to learn how to use a paper dictionary, and we had to do an assignment. And there's tear marks in the dictionary because I was trying to figure out how to spell inauguration and inaugurate, or one of the words that has an A, but it's really an I. And I was just looking in the complete wrong section. So there was definitely those little like traditional things I had to learn, but I also learned a lot about time management, responsibilities, how to advocate for myself. And I honestly think I wouldn't have been able to even step on the Miss America's Teen stage if it wasn't for the PAGE program.
And were you in DC originally because your father's in the military?
Yes, so my dad worked for the Department of Defense at the Pentagon, and my mom was a deputy chief of staff on Capitol Hill. So that's where we originally got our start. And then my mom has ties to Arkansas, and my dad was looking to kind of step away from the Department of Defense for being a lawyer. And we decided that Arkansas was the best place to move to, and it was the best decision we could have ever made.
And I want you to thank him personally from me for his
Yes.
service. My sister is actually a two-time retired Marine. Her husband's a retired Marine as well.
Oh, amazing. Well,
So
thank them for their service.
it was
Um,
amazing when I saw the bio and I read a little bit more about you, that how things kind of, they cross paths. So
Yes,
that's
that's what
amazing.
I've been saying all year long is two things. One, you never know the needles you never know what thread what needles you were threading through. There's so many things that lined up in the perfect spot, being United States Senate page, doing the last preliminary, last local of the Miss Arkansas season, going to Miss Arkansas, going to Miss America's team. There's so many things that lined up perfectly for me to have this opportunity. And that is another one of those things. My dad's military career instilled that in me from a young age. And that eventually led me to be Miss America's teen.
And on the political side, you're your high school's vice president. Political
Yes.
ambitions in the future?
Oh, absolutely. I want to be president of the United States. I have been in student council since my sophomore year, and I don't think I would have ever ran for vice president or anything like that, but I got really comfortable with that. And I also got really comfortable with the uncomfortable. I've decided that I have never met a stranger and I never will meet a stranger because I'm going to go up to people and I'm going to be like, I need you to vote for me. And they will be like, I don't know how to. And I am like, I will show you. So that has really instilled the whole how am I going to make it in the political landscape is never meeting a stranger.
What is Glimpses in Government?
Yes, so that's my Instagram webisode. So I have interviewed local mayors, JPs, county clerks, all the way up to United States senators. And that is really how I learned that Arkansas and America are all about yes and. Yes, I will help you film this episode, but I will also help you with your network, invite you to more events, get you more in contact with more people. And that has honestly spanned all over Arkansas, and I cannot wait to see how it expands all over the country.
Let's talk a little bit about what you've been up to since capturing the title of Miss America's Teen.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So we just launched a new video this morning, but Friday or Monday, let me tell you what I did on Monday. I went to my 5 a.m. Pilates class. I went to school for an hour because I'm still a high school student. And then I got on a plane for Dallas, went to the Rebel photo shoot, and got back on a plane back to Arkansas 6 hours later to go to bed. So it has been a whirlwind. There has been so many fun things that we have done. There's so many fun things I'm going to get to do in the future. And as well as getting to continue to know Abby, to know our national team is just such an amazing opportunity that I can't wait to continue further.
I understand you've done a lot of local television, a lot of interviews within the
Yes.
Arkansas area as well.
Yes. Arkansas is so excited for me, but they're so excited for our state. They're so excited for the Miss Arkansas board and organization. We are truly such a pageant state. We support our girls so much. And they were just beyond thrilled to have me back. And a lot of the same shows that I went to as Miss Arkansas's teen for the first time, they told me, they're like, you're going to win Miss America's teen. When you do, you better be back here. And so I had to fulfill that promise. I had to go back to all these new shows.
And you actually got to meet the governor, if I'm not mistaken.
I did. So I was advocating with the American Heart Association on cardiac emergency response plans. And when I was there, we had some ties to the chief of staff, and she was like, I've been following Peyton's stuff. I really want her to meet the governor. And how it worked was we got a picture, all of the people there for the AHA, all of our local title holders, all the people that were there with the American Heart Association, we all got a group photo with the governor. And she was kind of like, going around, she was doing all of her stuff, but she wasn't like super she wasn't greeting us all. And I was like, okay, I might get 2 minutes with her, but anything is what I want. I just want a picture with her. And I get into her office and she is just the kindest person I've ever met. She sat down with me for an hour and we just talked all things civics, Arkansas, and she eventually asked me if I wanted to collaborate with the Learns Act, which is something that she's really big in. So there is crazy what the response to Miss America's teen and how many doors this is going to open.
What advice would you give someone considering competing in the Miss America's Teen pageant?
I mean, do it. I did the last local title preliminary of the season of Miss Arkansas. If I didn't get back from the page program at the time I did, I would not be Miss America's teen. I don't think anyone can see themselves 1 year in the future. I know I certainly couldn't have a year later, and you never know if you are the next Miss America's teen. So if you never are going to know if you don't just do it.
Where can someone learn more about the organization?
Yeah, so they can look more on our social medias at Miss America and at Miss America's Teen. They can look on our websites at missamerica.org, or they can go to their state through either like Miss Arkansas, Miss California, whatever it is, and they can find out how to become a local title holder through there.
And how can they follow your year?
So yes, you can look at Miss America's Teen, at Peyton Bolling, or at Civics in Motion on Instagram.
Any parting thoughts?
Ooh, I don't think so. I'm trying to think if we have anything else that I would love to share. Um, oh, okay. I know what my parting thought was going to be. So, a quote that I heard from my mentor is, um, "Admire someone else's beauty without questioning your own." And that is something that I've learned a lot through this year is that I can celebrate my local and state title holders, all their achievements and celebrate them. And that does not diminish from my light. And being able to be comfortable with that and being able to celebrate each other will truly make you the best title holder you can ever be. So sticking with that ending quote is how I would encourage any title holder, any volunteer to live out their year.
Is there anybody that you'd like to recognize?
My family, they are just the most inspirational people. I can hear my dad on a call doing the thing that he loves. I know my mom's in my room probably thinking of more things I can do as Miss America's Teen. They truly, if I have a dream and I'm expressing it to them, they won't just give it to me, but they will tell me exactly what I need to do it. And it's going to be a demanding checklist, but it will get me exactly what I want in the future. And they just truly are the most supportive people I've ever met in my life.
And a final question from me. A year from now, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be aspirational but relatable. And that's truly what I'm trying to show through my social media is that I can be a United States Senate page, I can be Miss America's Teen, I can be the all student body vice president, but I'm also able to never meet a stranger. I am able to have the interaction with someone that when they walk away, they say, I want to get involved with the Miss America organization. And that is my goal throughout this entire year.
Excellent. And our special guest today has been Miss America's Teen 2025, Peyton Bolling, calling in from Arkansas. Peyton, thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much.